Good morning. I'm Aaron Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
We are live, alert, awake, and enthusiastic here on the Brink Morning Show. On the Brink. On the Brink Morning Show on KCAA.
Woke up to a brisk morning in our house.
Yeah, we forgot to turn the heater on last night, so it was a little chilly inside.
That'll wake you up, though, won't it?
Yeah, but you know when you're all snoodled up in your bed and there's lots of blankets, and I like winter because you can have heavier blankets on the bed, and you stick your toe out and it's cold. And
then you don't want to get out.
No, and it's just rude.
You start fighting it. You're like, no.
No, it's like 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. Yeah, no. Yeah. We had to get up this morning, and it was chilly.
It was a little chilly, yeah.
So normally we don't generally run the heater except at night unless it's super cold outside and it has to be pretty darn cold.
Well, we set it at like a minimum, like 66
or 67, yeah.
Yeah.
And so and at night, even then, it's only 68. So it's not like we're keeping it at 80 or something.
Yeah.
But it got down to what, 62?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a little chilly first thing in the morning. It'll wake you up though.
That's right.
It's kind of rude when you get out of the shower.
Actually, though, today's going to be a beautiful day. Sunshiny, beautiful day.
And except there's a wind. There's a cold, biting wind out there, guys.
Yeah. Don't let that wind get you. If you got a coat, make sure you wear it.
Exactly. So, Tobin, can you do 41 push-ups?
I don't think I can at the moment. I know I could do probably 25, probably close to 30. Without too much of a problem, but I think getting up to 40 is going to be a real push for me. So
apparently there was a study, this is a 10-year study of firefighters, and researchers found a strong correlation between a risk of heart disease and people who can do more than 40 push-ups.
Really?
Yes.
So you're saying that's got to be my new goal?
Sure. Yeah, that's your new goal. And this study was in the Journal of the American Medical Association Network Open. So JAMA Network Open provided other benchmark. Push-up totals from 11 to 20 equated to a 64% lower risk. Totals from 21 to 30 had an 84% lower risk, and totals from 31 to 40 had a 75% lower risk. No explanation is given as why the 21 to 30 totals seem to convey a stronger benefit, possibly just a statistical blip. The study followed 1,100 male firefighters in Indiana for a decade. Participants had a median age of 40 and a BMI of 28.7.
Wow. Okay.
So, I mean, is that the benchmark, or is that is somebody who can do 41 push-ups is in general overall better health? So it's not the push-ups per se, it's the kind of person who would be able to do those push-ups.
And think about this. These are firefighters. In order to become a firefighter, you have to be able to pass a pretty rigorous physical exam. It's a job that, and
it's a physical job, so you have to stay in shape.
Yeah, and if you've ever been in a firehouse, they have all kinds of exercise equipment, and those guys are constantly in training, keeping their bodies in shape, because at any moment they may be called into a situation where their physical ability will be the difference between somebody's life being saved or not.
Yeah.
And in many instances, maybe their own life, So they take it very seriously.
So these researchers say that this push-up test is actually a more accurate gauge than what is commonly used to determine cardiac health, which is the treadmill test.
Yes.
And so
I could do the treadmill test, I think, no problem. As a distance runner.
Oh, I'm sure you could too.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could. I think your core is stronger than you think it is, because in order to run, running uses every muscle.
Yeah.
Not every muscle in your body, but it uses every part of your body, all the major muscle groups.
No, my core is fine. I think that for me, the push-ups would be the arms, would be just getting that up and down 40-something times or whatever. I think, like I said, I've done 20, 25 pretty easily in the past, but once I get up around 30 is when the fatigue hits me and I really am struggling,
Yes.
And it's, I don't do push-ups a lot, but yeah, I think I definitely could get to 25, and then 30 is where I'm really starting to, hit the wall. So,
well, and it didn't say, I didn't see that it said how much time it took. So it wasn't, so when you go in the military, they're like, can you do, 40 push-ups in 2 minutes or whatever?
Yeah.
Or 100 push-ups in 2 minutes. I don't think they had that kind of, they just meant keep moving.
Yeah.
But, so I think it can be slow.
Okay.
So there's a story that really got to me about this couple. And I didn't prep this. I saw it this morning. There's a couple, and I think they're in New York, who have uninvited everybody to their wedding, including family, who didn't pledge to be vegan forever. Not vegan at the wedding, vegan forever.
Going to be a small wedding.
Right? So a couple of bridesmaids were impacted. The mom of the bride was impacted. And the thing that I felt was just deep sadness for the parents.
Yeah.
So you don't pledge to be vegan for the rest of your life and you can't see your daughter get married?
Well, and it's obviously setting the stage for, let's say someone does pledge to be vegan and then they change, for them to then cut you out of their life. This is a complete control thing, right?
Yeah.
To the kind of level of, like, you need psychiatric help, my dear.
So, both of our kids got married last year, and it would be absolutely devastating to both of us if we weren't allowed to go to one or both of their weddings.
Yeah.
It would have been devastating.
Well, and we're at this time in life, I mentioned this to you the other day, where a lot of our friends of our age are starting to make the announcements, right? Oh, my son or my daughter's engaged, and we're seeing them having their weddings as well, and it's kind of exciting, but we're all kind of sharing stories of what that's like now to go through the wedding in the phase of being the parent, and it's an interesting dynamic, and I can't imagine. You got to figure what went wrong with those relationships down the road, where that kid is now getting married and thinks it's okay to make that level of a demand on people.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing. Lots of people have vegan or vegetarian weddings, and vegan food is pretty darn good. I mean, I ate vegan for a while,
yeah,
and the food was delicious. It's not about them not being, the article wasn't about, well, I'm going to have vegan food at my wedding, and people balked at that. It wasn't that at all. It was, well, you have to not only be vegan at my wedding, you have to eat vegan at my wedding, you have to be vegan for the rest of your life. And yeah, I mean, how narcissistic. You talk about a bridezilla. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
And I have one word of wisdom for the groom. Run.
Right.
Run as far and as fast as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Because if she'll do this to her mother, she'll do it to anyone.
Right. Ooh. That's cold hard truth right there.
It is cold hard truth. Absolutely cold hard truth. So, speaking of another crazy vegan story.
Yeah, right. The vegans are out today, Aaron.
Yeah, they are. A vegan couple in Florida allegedly almost starved their 5-month-old son to death after switching his doctor-prescribed formula for a potato-based recipe found on the internet.
Oh, they went to the internet, did they?
Well, here's a thought. Why didn't you breastfeed?
Right.
He's 5 months old.
So the mom is 20 and the dad is 31. Not that there's a big deal about that, but that's kind of borderline for me. She's just barely out of her teen years, and he's in his 30s.
Yeah.
And the child weighed 8 pounds 8 ounces. And how old is this kid?
5 months.
5 months, and when they were born, they were 7 pounds 9 ounces. So this kid has really not gained any weight since birth. I mean, barely. Not even a full pound.
Yes. And so when the baby was seen by doctors on the 5th of February, it was diagnosed as malnourished and described as lethargic and not crying. The baby is now in hospital while the parents are in Brevard County Jail charged with neglect.
Wow.
And I have actually seen parents like this where they are so worried about their children gaining weight that they're not giving the kids enough food. The kids are hungry,
Yeah, there are some people out there who have their own sort of weird ideas about weight gain and issues, and you don't understand. Babies, the way babies grow is they get really plump and then they stretch, and they get really plump and then they stretch. And, I could see someone seeing the baby starting to get plump and thinking, oh my God, my baby's fat. I mean, and this is the weird psychopathy of our modern society,
Yes.
And if these people aren't particularly educated and haven't really studied and learned about child rearing and baby growth, and obviously in this case they were not listening to their doctor, right? They did not care what the doctor was telling them. They had an agenda, right? We're vegan. We think this is healthier, right? We're going to do this thing.
Well, babies need fat for their brains. We all need fat for our brains, but especially babies because they're growing, and they need all the other nutrients that come in breast milk. And if you're unable to do breast milk, follow your doctor's instructions, for crying out loud.
Yeah, exactly right.
There are tons of different kinds of formulas out there. Clearly, this child needed a prescription formula, so there must have been something else going on, some other underlying issue.
What if the mom was starving herself and couldn't produce breast milk?
Maybe.
Right? I mean, maybe she's already got severe body issues of her own.
So I have to say there are vegan. So a plant-based diet is really healthy, right? And as long as you're paying attention to your body and you're giving your body what it needs, then you're fine. But when it comes to your children, follow what your doctor says.
Yeah.
If you follow what your doctor says, and maybe maybe you're right. Maybe she couldn't produce breast milk. And I'm not one of those judgy breast milk only people. I understand that there are times, our son, when he was a baby, approached every meal like it was his last. And I could not breastfeed him enough for him to be full. I mean, it was just constant. And so we started supplementing when he was, 3 or 4 months old.
Yeah.
And then introduced cereal at 6 months. He's 6'3" now.
Yes.
He's a big, healthy 6'3", 20-something.
Yes.
And so, you pay attention to your baby, pay attention to your body, and for crying out loud, pay attention to your doctor. So with that, it's time for a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are On the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back.
Hey, Ryan, do we have any beer in the fridge?
Nah, I thought you got some.
The game starts in 5 minutes.
And you drank the last beer at midnight on Friday.
I wish there was a place that delivered beer.
Yes, I'm Captain Crafted. I'm here to bring you beer. That's Captain, C-R-A-F-T''D. Why? Because there's no E, just a D, as in deliver, because Captain Crafted delivers.
That's right, the Crafted Beer Store in Redlands is now open for business with great prices and deliveries of your favorite beer, wine, spirits, water, ice, and mixers. Did I mention their great prices? That's CRAFTDBEER store.com or Fred Crafted Beer Store on Facebook.com. Make it easy. Google Redlands Beer Delivery. Look for Crafted Beer.
Crafted Beer Store in Redlands is now open for business, and I'm here to deliver.
Why are you listening to this radio station? Why? When you can host your own radio show. You're listening and you think you can do better? You have a message or a product you want everyone to know about. Host your own radio show. Team up with the area's best radio professionals and let them make you sound like you should be on NBC. KCAA NBC Radio, that is. KCAA produces more than 50 local programs each week on subjects ranging from business and sports to political talk, vegan diets, or even marijuana-related issues. We don't just broadcast on the radio, we broadcast to the world. Online, on TV, on social media, on Facebook. You'll be all over. Imagine what your friends will say. And KCAA reaches over 5 million people on 3 radio stations. Join the staff on 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. NBC Radio. Jump on the KCAA Express. Call 909-793-1065. That's 909-793-1065 and get ready to transmit.
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy, philsgang.com. Are you tired of being lied to about some magical economic recovery that only benefits the 1%? And then when the market does collapse, you're sitting there calling your broker, what do I do? When you should be shorting? Learn how to short the market. Continue to listen to my radio show, philsgang.com. Become a member, only $39.95 a month, and learn how to short.
Don't wait. Find out more at philsgang.com or call 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. If you are passionate about securing your financial future, then check out philsgang.com. With philsgang.com, you get professional guidance on basic and advanced technical stock analysis. And just like the pros, you will gain the knowledge to recognize stock buy and sell patterns. Unlike any other service available, Phil Grandy and the philsgang.com team host daily interactive live streaming investing webinar classes and programs, and all material is archived. Check out philsgang.com. Call 877-600-GANG, 877-600-4264.
We can't be everything to everyone, or can we? The station that leaves no listener behind, KCAA.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
We are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So there was a big announcement that is all over the news this morning.
Yeah. Bernie's in, Aaron.
Bernie's in. Now, that was kind of inevitable. Everybody was kind of waiting for him to jump in.
Yeah.
Do you think he's too old?
I do, but I tell you, because of his run last time, he starts out this race with a lot of advantages.
Except that it seems that the whole Democratic field has jumped on the Bernie bandwagon. So it's not like, because last time there was, and on the Democratic side, there was Hillary Clinton, who represented the establishment Democrats, right? This is the Democrats, kind of old school, and then there was the Bernie Sanders side, that was, this kind of nouveau socialism thing, because he was a member of the Socialist Party. So this socialist wing of the Democratic Party, and so you had two distinct choices, and now you have a very crowded field of people who are leaning towards the socialist side.
Yeah.
And I don't know, is there a mainstream, like an establishment Democrat on the ticket?
Klobuchar, I think, is who they're saying is their moderate, mainstream, whatever. But yeah, she's got issues too. No, the thing about it is that because of the campaign he ran last time, this guy's got an email list that is gold, right? And the young people that were fueling his campaign are, several years older now, and hopefully a little more savvy. And I think he starts out with some big advantages. He showed that he was able to raise a lot of money last time.
But he did it by lots and lots of small donations.
And I think it's going to be fascinating. Like you said, though, a lot of folks have sort of tried to co-opt his message and might have more general election appeal. But you got to get through the primary first. And in a crowded primary, a guy who's got his proven success with that grassroots folks, I think it's going to make for an interesting race for him. The question is, how hard will these people go at him? And when they do go at him, what are they going to go at him on? Are they going to go at him on the issues? I'm looking at his list of things from 2016. He was pushing Medicare for all, $15 minimum wage, tuition-free college education, right? And those ideas are very popular still within the Democratic Party. So if you can't take him on issues, you're going to just make it about his gender and his age.
That he's a white male, and that he will be, when he takes office, he'll be almost 80 years old if he were elected. Because he's 77 at the moment. His birthday's in September, and so by the time he'll be 79. By the time 78. I can't count. What year is this? 2019. So yeah, he's ancient.
Yeah.
And I say ancient in terms of, is he up to the challenge, the rigor of that job?
Yeah. Well, obviously he ran a national campaign just a couple years ago, and the campaign will show whether he's up for the rigors or not.
He will be. He will be 79 and a half. Sorry. Yeah. I know he ran that campaign in 2016, but this job is huge.
It is. I think the next big person everyone's waiting to see get in the race is Joe Biden. And, nobody's able to sort of clear the field this time. Hillary did a lot of sort of sneaky things last time to sort of try to clear the field.
Well, and they got rid of the superdelegates. Yeah.
So it's going to be fascinating to me to see sort of how this plays out. Kamala Harris has convinced California to move their primary up, which benefits her. She thinks she'll get all those California votes and delegates, I actually think moving California up actually also helps if whoever's challenging Trump, and right now we only have one person that's actively said he's going to challenge Trump. But
who is that?
He was the former Bill Weld.
Oh, Bill Weld, that's right.
Yeah,
he's so memorable that I forgot.
Yeah, and I don't know that Bill Weld's a serious challenger yet, but he could be, depending on what else happens. But if there is a serious challenger against Trump, with California going early, I think that there's a lot of folks that would re-register as Republican just to vote against Trump, to vote for whoever it is. And if Trump lost California, he'd write it off, but that's a lot of delegates. That's a lot of delegates that would go to somebody else that would then show up at the convention to, be opposed to you. That's a big deal. That's about a tenth of the delegates.
So are there any Democrats that you think are exciting?
The only one that I'm actually even a little bit interested in hearing from is Joe Biden, and to see if he can sort of reposition himself as that elder statesman, moderate Democrat, and keep the party from going off the edge. If he does that, I suspect he could win this election pretty easily. I don't see any of these other folks beating Trump. I think they've all already gone too far to the left.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think none of the Democratic field is interesting to me. I think Elizabeth Warren is toast. I think her DNA test debacle, I think she's toast.
Yeah.
I think Beto O'Rourke, I think he's an empty suit.
Yeah.
I mean, I do. I think he's
Kamala.
Yeah, as I'm going through this, Kamala Harris doesn't excite me either.
Yeah.
I'm the fact that she got her start by getting jiggy with Willie Brown.
Yeah.
Come on, that bothers me. It bothers me a lot.
Yeah, she's meant to evoke the idea of a female Barack Obama, but she doesn't have his eloquent speaking style,
or his gravitas.
No, it's interesting. I actually find her to be kind of a lightweight, and I think I've shared this before. I actually got to be part of a 3-person panel of my union that interviewed all of the candidates for Attorney General back in the primary when she first ran. And, of course, she went on to win that race. But when she came in for the interview, she did not knock our socks off. We had a lot of candidates that we were liking more. We didn't dislike her, but we didn't think she was particularly great. And in the end, because she got the nomination, the union got behind her. But there were a bunch of questions that she was asked and she really didn't know the answers to, and really didn't seem very savvy with, how do you show up for this big interview and not...
Well, she probably thought she had the teachers union endorsement in the bag.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just, I was surprised. I expected more.
So, Julian Castro, he was a mayor, and then he worked he was the HUD chairman, or the HUD secretary.
Yeah.
Delaney, I don't know who that is. Klobuchar, don't know squat about her.
She's a senator.
Well, no, I know that, but I don't know anything about her.
From one of those Midwestern states, yeah. What was the one? Did you see the interview the other day of this guy who's like a mayor from Indianapolis, and he's young and he's gay, and he's an Afghanistan veteran, and I'm like, okay, so you're mayor of a city with 100,000 people.
What was his name?
And but he was like interviewed on one of those big comedy shows, and I'm thinking to myself that this is just weird. Why is someone giving this guy airtime? He's batting way out of his league.
Well, Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, that's right, Buttigieg.
Buttigieg. Oh my goodness.
Right.
What a name, poor guy. So you don't get to go from Podunk, Indiana.
Yeah.
Being mayor, and there's nothing wrong with Indiana, but you're mayor of a city that's 100,000 people, and then you think you're qualified for president.
Well, and he was trying to list off his things, like I've got more military experience than any of these other people running, because he was in the Marines for 8 years or whatever, 10 years, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like that qualifies you to be president.
Right. It's like, thank you for your service, but no.
You went from being a private no class, you're going to be in charge of all of our armed services. I don't think so.
No. So we are over for a break. We need to take a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292 FQ Riverside, and K293 CF Moreno Valley.
California headline news: 16 people in 5 gondolas had to be rescued Monday night after the Bayside Sky Ride at SeaWorld in San Diego stopped for several hours.
A fall from that distance can be catastrophic. Right now we don't have anyone that's injured. They're just stranded, and we want to make sure that everyone gets home safely without any injuries the same way that they came here.
Robert Logan with San Diego Fire says an infant and a man who was partially paralyzed were among those who were rescued. Firefighters working for several hours bringing everyone to safety. California leading a lawsuit being filed by 16 states against President Trump to block his emergency declaration on the border wall.
Well, we're going to try to halt the president from violating the Constitution, the separation of powers, from stealing money from Americans and states that has been allocated by Congress lawfully.
State Attorney General Javier Becerra, President Trump has said he's following legal precedent. 2.9 magnitude earthquake hits east of San Jose yesterday afternoon. No reports of serious damage or injuries. Jeff Scott, California News.
With Zillow, you're not just looking for a house. You're looking for the pool that will turn your kids' fingers into prunes. The living room where your dad will explain the nuances of football to you. Yet again. The kitchen where you'll alphabetize your spice collection and discover forgotten, furry, what is that, in the back of the fridge.
You're not just looking for a house. You're looking for a place for your life to happen. And whether buying or renting, Zillow makes it easy with smart search features, photos, and more. Zillow, find your way home.
I never chose to become a gambling addict, but what I did choose was to get help from a professional counselor. Admitting I was powerless to solve my problem, that opened the doors. I thought I was beyond repair until I called 1-800-GAMBLER and was provided life-changing resources and referrals at zero cost to me.
For no-cost gambling addiction counseling, call 1-800-GAMBLER or text SUPPORT to 53342. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
California headline news: an innocent driver killed after getting hit by a road rage suspect fleeing from police in Whittier. Police say the suspect took off when officers tried to stop him. He then allegedly tried ramming at least 3 patrol cars before slamming into another driver, setting that vehicle on fire and sending the driver to the hospital where he died. Family members identifying the driver as Isaiah Cruz. The suspect, also injured in the crash, taken to the hospital. He'll be booked when he's released. Police identifying him as 34-year-old Kevin Vargas. California News, I'm Jeff Scott.
It's time to take a look at our roadways. I'm Erin Brinker. And we still have those closures in the San Bernardino National Forest and Idlewild and Hemet. These are the same ones that we've been talking about since last week because of all the rain damage. In Rancho Cucamonga on the 210 westbound approaching Archibald, a crash is blocking the second lane from the left. Stop-and-go traffic is backed up from Day Creek Boulevard. In Riverside on the 60 westbound before Valley Way, an accident has the right lane blocked. Stop-and-go traffic is backed up from Rubidoux Boulevard. There's a SIG alert in Montclair on the 10 westbound before Monte Vista. An injury wreck is blocking the 2 right lanes. Stop-and-go traffic is backed up from Archibald. This has been your traffic report. Drive carefully, everyone. I'm Erin Brinker, and this is KCAA.
Are you having trouble sleeping? Are you always tired and worn out? Is it affecting your work and personal life? Well, South Pacific Sleep Lab can help you out. South Pacific Sleep Lab provides a personal study of your sleep patterns. With their trained specialists, they will diagnose your sleep habits and will give you a prognosis for getting a great relaxing night of sleep. South Pacific Sleep Lab has locations throughout Southern California, including Fontana, and will provide transportation to any of their locations at no cost to you. To find out more, give them a call at 844-SAD-5050. That's 844-SAD-5050. South Pacific Sleep Lab. Start resting easy and sleeping sound today.
The Inland Empire's radio home for the Dave Ramsey Show.
If you want to mess around with the Bitcoin thing and you're in that world a little bit, that's fine. But don't put your freaking life savings in it, doofus.
KCAAradio.com.
KCAA.
You can make it soul, make it real, make it rock, make it blues, make it bounce, make it hip.
Welcome back. I'm Marion Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So there's a crazy story out of Hesperia. So imagine you're in your backyard doing some yard work.
Yes.
And you look up into the trees because you might hear something.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a mountain lion up there.
Like a little tiny kitten mountain
No,
lion?
not like a little tiny kitten mountain lion.
So cute that you want to play with it?
No. This is a big kitty cat.
A big kitty cat.
Very
big mountain
big
lion.
kitty cat.
The aggressive kind that are like going to eat
With
your dog.
teeth and claws.
Wow.
Yeah. So, so when you get a cat stuck in a tree, you call the fire department.
Right.
And when you get a really big cat stuck in your tree, you call the fire department and Fish and Wildlife.
Did they catch it?
Yeah, they had to tranquilize it and let
wow.
it down safely. And once it regained consciousness, by that time they had released it. I think they took him up to the mountains because Hesperia is not far from the San Bernardino Mountains, so it's the foothills. So I'm sure they released the mountain lion back into an area where the mountain lion won't be eating, people.
Well, that's a good thing because you don't want the mountain lion eating people.
Or your pets, for crying out loud.
Well, it reminds me of that that story from last week where the guy actually was attacked by the mountain lion and he killed it, right? The runner.
Yeah, like choking it.
Yeah, and that was just amazing. But it really makes you aware of the fact that there are these wild animals out there that sometimes are near where we live, and you have to be careful.
There have been a lot more mountain lion stories lately. I mean, not just here. There's been stories like that one, and from Colorado and from the East Coast, et cetera. And you got to be aware. So, just as a public service announcement, the times that the mountain lions are most likely to be seen, and we have them in our foothills and our mountains, obviously, is at dawn and at dusk is when they're out there hunting.
Yeah.
If you shouldn't hike alone, number one. Number two, do not take your small dogs when you hike alone or when you hike, and be careful. Watch your kids. Because they want prey that is easier to get, obviously. So do not be careful with your smaller dogs if you take them on a hike.
Yeah.
What else?
Take someone who runs slower than you with you.
No.
That's the best strategy.
So I'm not ever hiking with you. I run slower than you do.
Oh, she's on to me.
And you wouldn't protect me?
I would so protect you. We would both be a big meal for that cat.
I know. I wonder, it occurred to me, they make these really loud air horns, right? The ones that you hear at sporting events that deafen you.
Yeah.
Like, would that scare off a wild animal, or would that just make them mad?
I don't know. I mean, it might initially scare them off, but if it's super hungry and then nothing bad happened to it, it might come right back at you after it. It might scare it for a second, but I don't know. Yeah.
So, there are areas in the country, like if you're hiking in, the upper Midwest, where the upper mountain region, you're going to find grizzlies, like Yellowstone, Wyoming, Montana, those areas. They have to carry bear spray. Now, grizzly bears are terrifying, too.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of wild critters out there, folks.
Yeah.
All right, Tobin, you're next.
We had to talk about dams, Aaron. You remember was it last year when we had the big dam up north?
No, that was like 2 years ago. That was the Oroville?
Yeah.
Oroville Dam.
And the spillway, right? Remember the graphic scenes as it was just eroding in front of our eyes. And
yes, and they had to evacuate, like 100,000 people.
Well, with all the rainstorms we've been having, the state is evaluating numerous dams, and they're concerned. They're concerned that we're going to get what they're calling an arc storm, which is like rain of biblical proportions, right? And this kind of megastorm, and that it could cause real problems with some of the dams that we have. And so they're specifically looking at the San Gabriel Spillway and the Whittier Narrows Dam, and what might happen. And they think that up to 1.5 million people may have to flee because of potential problems with some of these dams.
How do 1.5 million people flee?
I don't know.
I mean, we have gridlock with normal traffic.
Yeah.
And my gosh.
And this is not fleeing as in I'm just going to be gone for a couple of hours. This is like I need to permanently relocate, for weeks and months until it's safe, And so this is really a challenge. And they're saying that this atmospheric river, we were talking about this last week with this last storm, and how much water it was dropping. It's really creating some interesting and maybe dangerous situations for us. They're estimating that structural and economic damage from an arc storm could be over $725 billion worth of damage. Because if one of these dams breaks in a highly populated area, you take out so much housing and so much infrastructure and businesses,
that number is unfathomable.
I know. So this is what the engineers are thinking about. And the LA Times has a story about it, and you're looking at the pictures, and some of these spillways are already like filled up. I mean, you're asking yourself, well, how much water can they take? Now, thankfully, it looks like we've got a relatively smaller storm coming in tomorrow and Thursday, right? And then we've got like a week of no storms. And that's the thing. We need a little bit of time to dry out. I think where the challenge is when you reach that sort of saturation point and you haven't had
it keeps coming.
Yeah, and you haven't had a chance to sort of let the water that's there dissipate and run off, And so they're looking at, what might happen. The Corps is seeking $600 million, the Army Corps of Engineers seeking $600 million in federal funding to upgrade the 3-mile-long dam, and say the project has been classified as the agency's highest priority nationally due to the risk of very significant loss of life and economic impact, right?
Wow.
Right, and this is it's scary. I mean,
it's terrifying.
Yeah. So the funding requires congressional approval, and there's a picture here of this guy standing atop the 56-foot-tall dam, and you can see the working-class homes and schools and commercial centers that are about 13 miles south of Los Angeles. All of what you see, he says, would be underwater.
So, and I'm thinking of the whole, because Whittier Narrows, I'm thinking of the whole 605 corridor.
Yeah.
That's that area in the San Gabriel Valley that is, that's densely populated area. And it's people who don't have a lot of means, as well as wealthier people. But wow.
And listen, these are the cities that would be affected in this sort of catastrophic flooding. Pico Rivera to Long Beach would include the cities of Artesia, Bell Gardens, Bellflower, Carson, Cerritos, Commerce, Compton, Cypress, Downey, Hawaiian Gardens, La Palma, Lakewood, Long Beach, Linwood, Montebello, Norwalk, Paramount, Rossmore, Santa Fe Springs, Seal Beach, and Whittier.
Wow.
Right, and this is, and it's fascinating as you look at these maps, and they kind of show, what they think the water levels would be, and it's ridiculous. A lot of them are in the 4 to 6 range, but Pico Rivera would be under 15 feet of water. That would be like the low point, I guess.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
It is, isn't it? And so you're hoping that we get a little break here, and that they're able to get something done to help shore up these dams. And they worry that people are getting sort of a false sense of security because they keep hearing the phrase, "Oh, it would have to be like a 900-year flood," right?
Well, Houston had one of those last year.
I know.
Or 2 years ago.
I know. But after watching what happened up in Northern California in Oroville, you can't wait until the damage is being done to try to address the problem. I mean, it's at that point it's too late when you see the water cresting over the top of the thing and the erosion as big chunks of cement getting washed away. I mean, they need to be able to figure this out and deal with it quickly. And so anyway, it's a little bit scary just to read this story,
Yeah, I'm still absorbing it. There are dams that make this area livable. The Seven Oaks Dam, for example, which is a newer dam, makes it so that this whole valley is not flooded.
Yeah.
And so if we had a large earthquake or a 1,000-year rainstorm that crested over it, that would be terrifying too.
Well, and we still have people in the area that talk about the great flood back in Agua Manza area when they had all that loss of life back in the 1930s, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not quite been 100 years, another 100-year flood. Aaron's not going to sleep tonight, people.
No. So now I get to worry about earthquakes and floods. That's just great. Yeah. So with that, let's take a break. I'm Aaron Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
Yeah. And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-327-1660. That's 800-327-1660. Again, 800-327-1660.
This is Dick from Carpet Masters. Carpet Masters has been serving the Inland Empire for over 55 years. Carpet Masters uses extraction cleaning for your carpet because there's no better cleaning to remove the soil from your carpet. All of our furniture cleaning is done by hand in your home or in our plant. Carpet Masters also offers dry cleaning for fine furniture. Call Carpet Masters at 793-7215. That's 793-7215 for Carpet Masters.
The Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands is serving up some really cool ice cream at La Micho Acana. Then get your chocolates and other delights from C's Candies. Moms and future moms who visit the mall can cool off and relax while they get treated like royalty at Shiny Nails or Francis Nails and then pampered at Texture Hair. The Tri-City Center is filled with retailers who care about you. Shop at the Tri-City Center in Redlands and see why they call it the Mall with a Heart. Hi folks, if you're still paying for electricity every month, it means you haven't signed up for the Inland Empire's #1 money savings program offered by Horizon Solar Power. Just call to qualify your home and Horizon will give you $100 plus pay your electric bill until 2020. It's that simple. Call, qualify, get $100 and no electric bill payments until 2020. So keep your money in your pocket and become energy independent today. Call 844-711-6996. That's 844-711-6996. Or click on one of our Stay Cool ads at KCAAradio.com.
If you don't know what it's all about, Dr. Jolly will tell you on What's It All About, Wednesday afternoons at 3 on KCAA 1050 AM.
So, you didn't like that opinion. Okay, give us another 15 minutes. This is the station that leaves no listener behind, KCAA.
Let's get drunk. I'll pull my heart up through my mouth. This year's been hard for us, no doubt. Let's raise a glass to a better one. Let all the things that we've overcome bring.
Welcome back. I'm Marion Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA. And the big news, well, one of the many big news stories going on right now is that 16 states are suing the Trump administration over the national emergency to fund the border wall.
Yes. It's exciting.
How do you feel about him declaring a national emergency?
I think it was inevitable, but I think that now the courts, now we're going to see this whole separation of powers thing in action, right? I think that the border issue should be dealt with by Congress in the form of a law, and the president should either sign the law or veto the law. And now the president has decided to take action on his own, and the courts are going to get involved. And this is how our system works or doesn't work. And it's fascinating to me. You know, I shared with a group of people we were meeting with last night that I always look back in history, right, to look at examples of previous administrations to see what they've done and how things work or don't work. And I'm reminded of our second president, John Adams, who, while he was president, passed the Alien and Sedition Acts. And the Sedition Acts were aimed at publishers who published things he didn't like, and they started arresting publishers and putting them on trial because they violated this law. And of course, this happened, you know, he's the second president. This is right after they'd just done the Bill of Rights in the First Amendment, which guaranteed freedom of the press, and they did it. And he was kind of getting away with it because Congress at the time were all Federalists, the president was part of the Federalist Party, and the courts were all Federalists.
So remind people, listeners, the Federalists wanted a big government or a small government?
They didn't really talk about government in that way at that point, but the Federalists were generally more activist government, more central power.
As opposed to states' rights.
As opposed to state rights. And Thomas Jefferson, who was Adams' vice president at the time, but from a different political party, began pushing for states' rights. And you know, the other part of that was the Alien Acts, and the Alien Acts were focused on foreigners, and it made it harder for them to become Americans because the foreigners were voting for the Democratic Republicans, Jefferson's party, right? And so states' rights played a role. And so when I see the states here going after Trump and suing him, this is another aspect of the way our system works, right? Federalism, right? We have power at the national level, and the states have some authority as well under our Constitution. And I think the states are probably going to lose the lawsuit in the sense that the whole issue of immigration and building a wall is a federal issue, and that's fairly clearly a federal issue.
But they're suing over the diversion of funds as part of it, because there are projects that have been funded coming out of maybe the Army Corps of Engineers, that those dollars are being diverted towards this emergency, building the wall.
And I think that they may win on those grounds, but then it just becomes a matter of Trump finding the money somewhere else, and which I think that in a budget the size of our nation's he'll be able to do. And I wonder if Trump is going to be like our 7th president, Andrew Jackson, if the courts rule against him, just saying, well, okay, you've made your ruling, now enforce it. And, and because the courts really don't have an enforcement arm, they rely on the executive branch to enforce their orders.
So I personally think that this is a really bad thing. I don't like that Trump is doing this.
Yeah.
We have the president, the Congress. Basically, the Congress exists to run for Congress.
Yes.
They really have given over so much of their power to the executive branch and created this nightmare of administrative law in all of these departments. So much more law comes out of, or so much more legislation comes out of the executive branch than was ever intended. Through the EPA and through the, all of these federal departments. And this is one more power grab by a strong executive. And I don't like that. I think that there needs to be a balance. Congress needs to do the job it was hired to do.
So Tom Tillis, who is a Republican senator from North Carolina, stood up and said that he was opposed to Trump's doing this. And he is being absolutely attacked by people on the right who are calling him a rhino and saying he won't win his reelection now because of opposing Trump. But I see him standing up because I think he recognizes that there's an importance in the separation of power, and you can't let the president continually sort of run over Congress like this and just do whatever they want. We don't have a king. We have a president. Who has limit, and we have limited government. There are limits on the power of the president, on the powers of Congress, and the power of the courts. And until we reestablish those, now what's fascinating to me, and I shared this last night, ultimately the way that people resolved the issue with John Adams and his abuse of presidential authority was they didn't reelect him. They elected Thomas Jefferson in the next election, who undid all the stuff that Adams had done. And and so I suspect we might see something similar happen.
But do we have a Thomas Jefferson?
Well, there's your question.
Here's the thing. If he's successful in doing this, what I call a power grab, if he's successful in doing this, then when there's a Democrat in the Oval Office, they're going to do the same thing, and they're going to go for guns. They're going to go for other things that the Republicans don't like. I mean, this is bigger than any man.
Yes.
This is we don't, when our military and our civil servants take an oath. It's not an oath to Trump. They take an oath to the Constitution and the United States of America.
Yeah.
The Constitution and the country is much more important than whatever human is sitting in the Oval Office at any given time.
This is such a red meat for Trump's base, though, right? And they're loving that he's fighting to get what he said he was going to get them, which is that wall, right? And so they don't, Constitution be damned, and they're going to say, well, Obama got away with all his stuff, and so Trump should be able to get away with his.
There's a cost.
Yeah.
It's far more expensive. I feel like that we're giving away our inheritance for a bowl of soup.
Yeah.
For the biblical reference, for those of you who are wondering where that came from, we are giving away. We're giving away the gift of the American system because we want that, whatever it is in front of us, and we've done it in little increments for decades.
Yeah.
And we've done it at our peril, and we're so short-sighted. I want what I want. I want an Oompa Loompa, and I want it now. And that's what I feel like we've been doing.
Right. Wow. No, you hit the nail on the head. It is scary on so many levels. I still tend to be a person who has faith in the system and in the voters, that people will, the voters get a chance. And I hear people talking about, we're going to impeach Trump. We're going to impeach Trump. It's dumb. The guy's got 2 more years. In 2 years, you get to have an election. That we're seeing all these people jumping into the election cycle now. That's the right way to handle this. So get out there, make your case, explain why what you would do is better or right. Stand up and fight for what you believe in, and convince people to vote for you.
So I want whoever it is that is running for president, I want to hear that the Constitution is more important than you are.
Yeah.
I want to hear that the legacy of this nation should not be put at risk because of personality differences. I want to hear that this divisiveness that everybody is capitalizing on comes at a significant cost, and that you are not going to play with that anymore.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the things you're talking about tend to be issues that Republicans talk about on campaigns. I've never heard a Democrat talk about, defending the Constitution. That's not something they talk about. You know what I mean?
No, I mean there's a certain percentage of them saying, we need to chuck it and start over, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's a big mistake.
I agree. I would love to hear a Democrat who started to talk about some of those issues in ways that mattered to you and me, And we were talking about all the various people who were jumping into the race, and I've not heard anybody yet, who's actually trying to talk to me,
It's interesting that you say the what I am hearing, like for the Democrat response after Trump's State of the Union address. What I heard seems to be different from what everybody else heard. I heard, and I've just forgotten her name, from Georgia, Stacey Abrams. Thank you. What I heard her say, and I said this at the time, was me, I, me, I, my family, me, what I want, me, I. And it really, there was no lofty idea. There was no sense of a higher purpose. There was nothing that elevated the discussion. No one is elevating the discussion. And the reason why Ronald Reagan resonated with so many people is that he did that for us.
Yeah.
And Barack Obama did it too.
Yeah.
Where people then had the vision of the bigger, brighter star, the bigger, brighter purpose, the bigger, brighter reason we're all doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And nobody is inspiring me. Nobody is inspiring me at the moment. So with that, we're at the end of our show for today. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are On the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. Have a great day, everyone.